welcome to Physio Chats, a Singapore Physiotherapy Association podcast. Selamat datang, anda sedang mendengar Physio Chats, sebuah podcast dari Persatuan Fisioterapi Singapura.
Okay, hai semua. Nama saya Norris, ahli fizio dari Highland Rehab Private Clinic. So dalam edisi podcast Physio Chat hari ini, kita akan bersama dengan fizio dari Malaysia, Indonesia dan Singapura juga. Yeah, so setahu anda pasukan bola sepak is actually a very common or like something that is like easily watched by people. And recently we have this Suzuki Cup that was underwent in Singapore. So accompanying us is Sarah. She's from the Malaysian Physiotherapy Association. Yeah.
Thank you, Norris. Hello, everyone. Very nice to be here with all of you guys. I feel very honored to be involved in this collaboration. So I just want to share a little bit of a background lah. Macam mana, how this podcast idea started. So basically, Kieran and I, we've been friends for a while because we studied together before this. So he sort of like contacted me, because during the AFF Suzuki Cup tournament, he was like, he came up with this idea, why don't we do something like, between our countries, and let's just gather the physios from Indonesia, Singapore, and also Malaysia, on a platform so that we could have a chat. And I think it's a really great idea because from the Malaysian Physiotherapy Association, this year we just started to, kick off with this special interest group, so one of them is the sports SIG. So memang apa? So this is basically from the sports SIG ni memang our first event lah. So I'm very happy to kick off the 2022 with this collaboration antara SPA dan juga MPA. So hopefully after this podcast is being aired, and I hope that we could garner more viewers and also involvement and also collaboration from all of our countries, especially from Indonesia. Okay, so just nak explain sikit the flow of the podcast today. As I mentioned earlier, kita ada 3 parts lah. So these 3 parts we will talk mainly about first of all we'll talk about your early experience and your journey daripada after you graduated, and then macam mana you get into football, and then after you finish the first part, we will have a bit of a break, a few minutes macam tu, and then kita akan move on kepada the second part. We will talk about more football related punya topic, and then we will go to the third part where we talk about the non-football punya topic. Alright, so over to you, Norris.
Okay, Ken. So mungkin sekarang kita kenali semua pakar-pakar fizio di sini. Pertama mungkin Kak Fiza can share a bit more about yourself, like where you working at now as well.
Okay. So pertama kali, alhamdulillah, thank you. Terima kasih for this invite for this podcast. I think saya rasa teruja kerana dapat meluangkan masa with very good physios. I've seen them, I've worked with them, Asep and Mr. Siva. So I'm quite privileged to be here today. So yes, nama saya Nur Hafiza, and then many people know me as Kak Fiza. So currently saya bekerja di one of the Premier League clubs in Singapore, which is the Lion City Sailors. So this year we are going to be involved in ACL tournament, ASEAN Champions League. Yeah, I've been a physio for more than 15 tahun, lebih daripada 15 tahun. Actually saya nak jadi nurse, jururawat. Yeah, tapi alhamdulillah somehow or other I go through all the way, and physiotherapy lah saya punya what do you call that? It's the job that I chose. How I became a football physio. Dari kecil saya selalu luangkan masa menonton bola Premier League. Manchester United is my favorite club. So from there saya nak bantu pemain bola sepak. I was a netballer before I played netball, and then saya cedera otot what do you call that, my knee. So I had an ACL injury, and that's how I know, how a physiotherapist work. So so slowly, from a hospital physio, I slowly climbed my ways up. I actually sort of specialize dalam bidang sukan dan juga manual therapy, musculoskeletal. So I started with Singapore Sports Institute and then to Football Association of Singapore. Yeah, so that's where I was, and now I am in the Lion City Sailors.
Okay, terima kasih Kak Fiza. Okay, then Mr. Siva pula.
Hi. Thank you very much. Very good effort by Malaysian Physiotherapy Association and Singapore Physiotherapy Association. Getting the Southeast Asia people to come together to, in this collaboration. I should thank Sarah has been pushing us. I think during the tournament, she was asking us whether we can do. So I was suggesting why not we do after the tournament when things are settled down. Okay, about me, I qualified in year 1992. So exactly 30 years. This Jan will be my 30 years service with the Physio.
Wow.
So qualified from the College of Physiotherapy, Kuala Lumpur. That was the only college we had in Malaysia at that time of point. And after that, my first posting was in the hospital setup, where I was working with the MOH, Ministry of Health. So I was there and was exposed to multidisciplinary, medical, surgical, neuro, orthopedics, to name a few. The exposure actually has built up a level of confidence in handling patients, player per se, working in a hospital setup. So I was there for almost 6 years when my opportunity came to be with the football team. Before I got my job, I started my training. I was thinking every day we will be doing exercise. Physio is about doing exercise. But I was thinking whether I've done the right choice of becoming a physio. So my setting was always in my mind on exercise, physical thing. Probably that actually spurred me, to get into football. When I was in hospital, we had a small club, hospital club. So I was playing for the club. At that point of time, they said they need a physio. So I became a physio come player for the club. So that was my first exposure in football, being a physio. Then I moved on. Then I had to shift my paradigm. I have to come to a different place from Johor. I have to travel to Kuala Lumpur, where I got transferred. And in Kuala Lumpur, immediately I got a club. I was doing a part-time job. I finished my work in a hospital. Then I rushed to the field. Tough time, but interesting period of my journey. That's when I had an opportunity to work with a senior physiotherapist who was already in a club in Kuala Lumpur club. If I'm not mistaken, that's the only club who had a physio at that time. That was 1993. Before that, the clubs do not have a proper setup with physios and all that. So it was a pleasure working with the late Mr. Prabhakaran. If I'm not mistaken, is the pioneer who got involved in sports physio in Malaysia. It was a good experience. A lot of things I learned from him. That spurred me on, and that's when I got a biggest break when one of the national coaches spotted me, and they said, "Would you like to be with part of the Malaysian FA?" So that was in 1997 when I got into FA of Malaysia. So talking about Suzuki Cup, my first experience was in 1998. That was the second edition of AFF Suzuki Cup. But then it was called AFF Tiger Cup. So that was in 1998. It was held in Vietnam. And the last edition, Suzuki Cup, was my 13th edition. but I missed two because of family problems. But then it is a good experience. I still cherish to be in the sports side. Looking forward before my retirement, if Malaysia can win one more AFF Suzuki Cup. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
hopefully that'll be the case.
Inshallah.
Okay, Ken. Now Mr. Asik, what got you into physio? Maybe you can share a bit more about that.
Oke, saya mulai jadi fisio, lulus kuliah itu tahun 2008. Jadi sampai sekarang mungkin sudah 14 years ya, fisio. Jadi begitu lulus, saya langsung di klub basketball profesional. Klub, the name is CLS Knight Surabaya. So is the club play in the professional league ya. So di basket saya dari 2008 sampai 2014. Jadi sekitar 6 tahun. Nah, di tahun 2013 saya pertama membuka suatu klinik namanya Physiopreneur. Itu di Surabaya. Sekarang saya sudah punya 3 kota, Surabaya, Jakarta, dan juga Makassar. Nah, di tahun 2014 saya dapat tawaran untuk masuk ke PSSI, Timnas Sepak Bola Indonesia, itu untuk Piala AFF 2014 di Vietnam, di Hanoi. Nah, tapi 2015 PSSI di-ban oleh FIFA sehingga waktu itu saya ikut gabung di SEA Games Singapura dengan basket Indonesia. Kita dapat silver medal dan tahun 2017 saya kembali gabung dengan timnas sepak bola Indonesia itu untuk under 19. Jadi dari under 19 terus kemarin SEA Games 2019 saya di under 23. Dan dari 2020 pas saat pandemi saya kembali di senior team sampai sekarang seperti itu. Jadi memang ini suatu kebanggaan buat saya sendiri karena memang dulu saya juga suka sekali menonton sepak bola. Klub saya sama dengan Fiza, saya juga favorit Manchester United dari tahun 99, David Beckham, Ryan Giggs dan semuanya ya. Dan itu bikin saya menjadi semangat untuk bisa menjadi fisioterapis di sepak bola. Dan dulu saya juga penonton, supporter ya. Saya biasa nonton bola Indonesia kalau mereka bermain, saya nonton dan akhirnya itu suatu experience bahwa saya bisa berada bersama mereka untuk membantu mereka. Jadi sampai saat ini ya kita di Timnas Sepak Bola Indonesia membantu di berbagai kelompok umur seperti itu. Dan sekarang selain di Timnas Sepak Bola, saya sendiri masih develop the Physiopreneur dan juga saya memasukkan Sport Science Lab di Indonesia. Kita bekerja sama dengan Australia, the name is Vault Performance. Jadi kita bisa ukur mereka measurement semua muscle strength, posture, terus power dan lain-lain itu dengan nama Kinetic X seperti itu.
Dalam Kinetic X ni ada apa-apa like fungsi atau measuring tools that you guys use?
Iya, jadi kita selama ini kan banyak pemeriksaan kita subjektif ya. Jadi misalkan sebagai contoh, buat cek muscle strength, kita cek pakai MMT atau mungkin maksimal pakai hand dynamometer. Tapi itu tidak enough karena kalau kita mau ukur, sebaiknya ukur dari movement. Sebagai contoh, adduction, abduction, kita bisa ukur otot aduktor, kita bisa ukur otot abduction, kita juga bisa ukur hip flexion, ya. Terus juga ada juga satu alat itu namanya Nordboard, dia bisa ukur untuk Nordic hamstring. Jadi kekuatan eccentric hamstring kita bisa measurement. Sehingga dari situ datanya kita bisa pakai untuk buat injury prevention program maupun kita buat memantau progres dari rehabilitation. Jadi membuat rehabilitation lebih terukur, lebih objektif seperti itu.
Faham. Wah, sungguh menarik betul. Wah, sekarang pengalaman yang luas betul daripada Kak Fiza, Mr. Siva dan Mr. Asif. Untuk pengetahuan junior di sana, mungkin kalian bertiga boleh kongsi tentang pengalaman atau sijil yang atau kualifikasi yang semua ada untuk macam mana untuk menjadi seorang physio yang mendalami dalam bidang sukan ini. Mungkin dari Kak Fiza dulu.
Okay, so saya on my side, so how should I say? So saya ada degree, okay, daripada University of Sydney, degree in physiotherapy, and that's how kita pelajari semua bidang dalam physiotherapy, because physiotherapy ada different cabang kan. Yeah, dan kemudian you specialize in, for me, it's more of manual therapy through the Karting University. And then on my own, I guess sebagai physiotherapy, like what Mr. Siva said, it's not only, about movements and all that. It involves a lot of other things. So, macam certain things that saya pelajari, like dry needling, even things like how to do stretching and all that. So these are the knowledge, as well as the what do you call that, the certs that I actually do in order to be a better physio, as well as to be a sports physio. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, then Mr. Siva. Mr.
Okay,
Siva.
I'm not sure about how di luar negara macam mana you categorize a sports physiotherapist. Saya akan berkongsi di mana di Malaysia. Di Malaysia kita tak ada cabang untuk membuat sports physio as per se. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sarah?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. So we qualified as a physiotherapist. Selepas tu pengalaman kita bekerja dengan pasukan ataupun dalam bidang sukan tu, we enhance ourselves like what Nur Hafizah told, by attending more sports physio courses. Okay, that's how we enhance ourselves to become a sports physio. So we choose. I mean, there is very limited venue for us in Malaysia. For say, I'm not sure about Singapore and Indonesia. Di Malaysia kita terhad dengan perkara ini. So I think the Ministry of Health have not come up. Okay, once you are a physio, you do your post basic as to enhance yourself to become a sports physio. I think we have to improve on that part, where we should have a specialized course concentrating on sports physio. A lot of things can be done in sports, I think Malaysia had cardiopulmonary, if I'm not mistaken. They had one post basic in the Ministry of Health, and then neuro, they had one post basic. But on sports, we are still in infant stage, and then only way we can enhance ourselves is by reading, attending courses to improve yourself to be specialized in sports physio.
Okay, dan bagaimana pula tentang situasi di Indonesia, Mr. Hasin?
Okay, sport physio sekarang di Indonesia lewat Indonesia Physiotherapy Association, mereka punya satu perhimpunan, perkumpulan yang dinamakan Perhimpunan Fisioterapi Olahraga Indonesia atau Indonesia Sport Physiotherapy Association. Tapi memang dulu waktu lulus kuliah 2008 itu masih sedikit sekali yang mereka berminat untuk menjadi sport physio. Karena kenapa? Banyak dari physio lebih suka untuk kerja di hospital atau di klinik. Nah, berdasarkan my experience, saya bilang bahwa sebelum kita masuk ke sebuah sukan atau sebuah klub atau national team, better kita harus punya experience adalah di klinik. Karena kenapa? Begitu kita masuk ke sebuah tim atau sebuah sukan, itu kita perlu berpikir dengan cepat dan kita perlu make a good decision about the condition of the player. Because sometimes coach want to play and we cannot also just thinking about the theory, right? It's like only, okay, the theory is like 3 weeks for rest the muscle, but we can see every day, every player is different. Right, so same like for example, same hamstring injury, maybe different rehabilitation and different return to play. Every player is different. So dari situ saya bilang bahwa semua orang yang mau jadi sport physio harus kalau bisa banyak dulu experience di klinik. Saya dulu lulus langsung masuk ke tim karena 1 tahun sebelum saya lulus, saya sudah bantu klinik di college, di kampus. Jadi saya juga bantu klinik kampus, saya pegang student kampus ya, student atlet. Jadi saya pegang ya, itu jadi experience. Dan setelah itu banyak yang setelah saya bikin klinik di tahun 2013, banyak fisio join kepada saya juga ajar mereka juga kita arahkan masuk ke on field. Jadi misalkan ada basketball turnamen, soccer turnamen, itu kita suruh mereka masuk semua, suruh mereka masuk untuk experience. Setelah itu mereka sudah mulai punya experience dan punya knowledge, akhirnya banyak tim yang hubungi saya, terus bilang, oke, boleh nggak kita minta fisio untuk di tim kita? Oke, akhirnya kita kasih semua fisio itu ke klub-klub. Jadi mereka akhirnya gini, sport fisio itu tidak sama seperti kalau kita kerja di hospital. Masuk jam 9, kita bisa pulang jam 5 ya. Sometimes kita tetap treatment sampai malam ya. Tapi kalau seperti sekarang, lagi libur, mungkin kita libur lebih panjang dibandingkan teman-teman yang lain. Seperti itu. Jadi memang secara skill, kalau menurut saya pribadi adalah penting sekali kita memang manual terapi ya, karena itu kita butuh the instant result. Setelah itu juga kita butuh beberapa metode-metode seperti mungkin exercise terapi, ya mungkin juga kalau memang diperlukan modality itu juga sangat membantu, mempercepat, dan yang paling penting menurut saya menjadi sport physio adalah collaboration. Collaboration dengan siapa? Dengan physical coach ya, physical fitness coach, dan juga mungkin strength conditioning coach kalau ada, atau juga dengan beberapa seperti medical team ya, dokter, mungkin juga kita punya sport massage ya. Jadi akhirnya kita integration-nya bagus seperti itu.
Penting juga yang informasi diberikan mereka semua. Okey, sekarang Sarah mungkin mau teruskan.
Okay, terima kasih Norris. Alright, so saya setuju dengan apa yang Cik Asep explain tadi into very detail. Sepatutnya first of all, physio kebanyakannya selepas kita graduate tu, it's good that we have clinical experience dulu lah, especially working in a healthcare, exposed to different types of patient apa semua. So that will lead to my next question. Untuk Kak Fizzah dulu, masa awal-awal your very first match that you covered as a physio, okay? I would like to know more about that, the very experience you covered a match, if you remember. How was it and how did you feel after you covered that match too?
Okay, so you're talking about for the national A team or just a very first match?
The very first match when you first got into sports physio.
Okay, then I was still a junior physiotherapist lah. The thing is that I didn't start with football first. Saya mula dengan rugby.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So you know like what Mr. Asif was saying, macam masa kita nak jinak-jinak dengan bidang sports physiotherapy, we have to explore the different sports. So I actually went to rugby, netball and things like that.
Yeah.
So I got my opportunity with rugby. It was very scary, I have to say, because rugby is totally game yang dahsyat lah. I think it's a gentleman's sport because you have to run in, walaupun mereka hidung patah ke apa, which was my experience. They still cakap, never mind Fizzah, I still want to play. Mereka mahu continue. Then like what Mr. Asif said, when kita belajar theory, cakap, kalau hidung fracture kan, we have to take them out. But no, they are very insistent. They said, no, I still want to play. That's when you step back and then you decide, oh, betul tak saya buat ni? Betul ke tidak? Mereka mahu continue tapi, theory aja, stop. So these are the things. And then after that first game, macam, I sit back, I ponder, did I do the right thing or not? Because sometimes when you cover these games, you're all alone. Masa tu saya seorang, masa tu masih muda. So bila teman cakap, okay, would you like to cover this rugby game? I said, yeah, I'll try. But then slowly, I recovered from that first game because it was scary for me to see the nose fractured and all that. But I guess with that experience, saya belajar. It gives you that confidence, the experience to be a better physio the next game and the next game and the next game. Yeah, so that was my experience lah.
Yeah, that's very good. So I guess everyone will always remember their first medical coverage, definitely, because I think that is the most daunting experience, like especially when you started as such an early point of your career, kan? Okay, as for Mr. Siva pula, so you said that when you were very young, you used to play for the club, and also at the same time you also became the physio. So how was that for you? Of course, when you with the club, playing, it's different as a player, but then when you also had to be the physio for your team, how was that experience for you?
Okay, of course, that was my first experience, but my real test was like what Nur Hafiza said when I was thrown into Sukma Games, that's Sukan, Malaysia, very junior physio. Lucky I had a senior with me. This rugby again. If you can cover rugby, I think you can do any other sports already.
True.
So this guy came with a subluxation of shoulder. So our first initial assessment, we said you have to come out of the game. But he said, no, you put some tapes, I want to go back and play. But like what Asif and Rafiza was sharing, definitely on theory it says you need a rest, but then, players are players. They want to play first thing. They will fight the pain, especially sports. So rugby actually taught me something when I was involved with Sukan Malaysia. Then moving on, when I got into football, I was still a rookie, and my first experience with big game was handling the senior players. They taught me a lot of things. I'm sure Nur Hafiza and Asif has gone through this also. First thing, when you do your assessment, you find that you are having a first degree hamstring, something like that. Through your assessment, your advice will be please sit out. But these guys will never sit out until they start limping. So a lot of things I learned from senior players. Now all of them are almost most of them are coaches now. So actually, when I was a rookie, I picked up a lot of things. My seniors really helped me when backed me up. They taught me. So advice for the new boys, new people who are coming in, get attached to some seniors. You can learn a lot. And if you can get a rugby team, much better. I'm sure Sarah got a lot of rugby team connection. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Siva. Yes, I think Sukma is definitely one of those events that I think many aspiring sports physios in Malaysia they get involved in. Even I myself also, my first sports event that I covered was Sukma. So I think that would really, that particular event memang macam it gives a lot of exposure to young physios out there. So for Encik Asif pula, what was your first event yang Encik Asif cover?
I remember 2008 itu saya di tim basket. Saya adalah fisioterapis pertama, the first physio in the basketball league in Indonesia. So with the team so the first physio. And di situ saya pasti pertama kali event itu international game. Saya ingat international turnamen di Surabaya Dan kita melawan mungkin kalau nggak salah dari luar, banyak dari internasional. Oke, nah saya ingat sekali bahwa di situ saya sangat nervous. Jadi saya sangat nervous sekali Dan juga saya karena satu sisi in one side I'm a supporter, so I like basketball also, and so it's like okay, come on. So I terbawa dengan permainan Tapi satu sisi sebagai fisioterapi olahraga, saya ingat sekali my lecture say that if you are physio sport, you must be know about the mechanism of injury. So it will make you easy to assessment. If you can see how the mechanism of injury. So it's like it's like just collision, it's just like maybe sprain, strain, and anything. Di situ akhirnya saya benar-benar harus bisa bagaimana memperhatikan semua gerakan dari si pemain. Oke, ada satu kejadian saat itu salah satu pemain terkena ankle sprain. Ankle sprain, and saya jadi saya karena mungkin panik, saya udah mau masuk ke dalam. Nah, terus habis itu saya ditahan oleh pelatih, tunggu. Kalau dalam basket kamu nggak boleh langsung masuk. Jadi kamu harus tunggu dari wasit. Jadi referee suruh kita masuk, baru kita bisa masuk. Seperti itu. Nah, jadi akhirnya kita belajar bahwa sebagai fisio, kita tidak hanya spontan untuk bagaimana kita masuk, tapi kita harus juga tahu regulasi karena setiap olahraga beda regulasi ya. Mungkin kalau di basket atau futsal kita bisa mereka tarik keluar, kita rawat dulu, habis itu mereka bisa masuk lagi. Tapi kalau di bola kita cuma punya biasa pergantian dulu sebelum pandemi 3 ya. Jadi kita tidak boleh asal semua diganti, tahu-tahu habis, kita tidak bisa berganti lagi pemain. Jadi dari situ saya dulu kita cuma tahu namanya ankle sprain, kita harus rise. Berarti harus istirahat, kompres, ya kan, compression, elevation. Tapi ternyata tadi betul seperti dibilang, mereka semua atlet itu kalau sudah tanding, kadang mereka punya pain intensity-nya mereka sangat tinggi ya, tolerance terhadap nyerinya sangat tinggi. Jadi mereka bilang, oke, saya masih bisa, tapi kamu bantu saya tapping. Oke, saat itu satu yang menarik gini, saat saya kuliah, saat saya college, saya tidak banyak belajar tentang taping. Tapi begitu saya masuk ke tim, semua pemain itu sudah biasa di taping. Jadi waktu itu pertama-pertama saya saya bahkan waktu itu kalah sama ada measure mereka cepat pasang taping. Saya bilang, kok bisa begitu? Akhirnya apa? Waktu itu internet belum sebagus sekarang, belum banyak wifi di mana-mana. Jadi dulu ada mungkin seperti kedai internet. Akhirnya saya pergi ke kedai internet, saya searching. Selama 1 hari saya searching bagaimana pasang taping dan lain-lain. Habis itu saya coba, dan akhirnya ya semakin lama semakin biasa, semakin baik, dan akhirnya kita bisa melakukan taping lebih cepat. Karena kan memang kalau di basket itu hampir semua pemain mereka menggunakan rigid tape. Jadi mereka menggunakan underwrap dan juga rigid tape. Nah itu yang memang butuh skill untuk kita dan juga habit ya. Semakin kita sering ngelakuin itu semakin cepat dan semakin rapi seperti itu.
Ya betul Tuan Cik Asif. Sebenarnya bila kita jaga sports ni banyak kemahiran-kemahiran yang kita tak pernah belajar ketika di universiti dulu yang kita belajar masa kita di sports ni. Especially macam nak bagi drills dekat player, what kind of drills yang sesuai untuk semua, sebab kita belajar tu kita belajar macam how to prescribe exercise untuk orang yang sakit in terms of hospital setting, tapi untuk orang yang aktif yang dah boleh berlari macam mana kita nak bagi kan. So betul banyak skills lah, and I believe that skills tu pun sampai sekarang walaupun kita dah bekerja lama, you know, the education is still continuing lah. It's continuous for everyone of us. Okay, so now we're going to go into our second part of the interview lah, where we are going to talk more on football related punya topics. Alright, so Norris.
Okay, kan, so tentang football related mungkin kita cupas yang pertama tentang pengalaman tentang harian, bagaimana jaga pemain dan sebagainya. Mungkin Kak Fiza sebagai physio Lion City Sailors, mungkin dalam masa harian mungkin boleh kongsi sedikit tentang pengalaman dari pagi sampai ke malam. Apa role atau duty lah yang Kak Fiza kena buat.
Okay, so in Lion City Sailors, because it's a club kan, so dia berbeza dengan national team in the sense that national team you only get the players masa waktu FIFA dates. So for the Lion City Sailors, saya basically dengan mereka setiap hari. Yeah, so kita mula training. Okay, so if let's say mereka report 7:30, saya have to be there 1.5 hours earlier to prepare, you know, whatever taping, even to the extent macam makanan yang mereka perlu makan sebelum training. So kita punya, sebagai physiotherapist, jadual waktu panjang. You know, you spend basically the whole day, at training pagi, dan kemudian masa mereka recovery, you have to treat the players after training, and then after that petangnya you have second session with those injured players. Yeah, so kalau ada training petang, we still have to attend the training, and then we still have recovery after that. So it stretched a long day. Yeah, so that's how it is every day. And then basically, Alhamdulillah, in Lion City Sailors, I think it's one of the best club in Singapore. Dulu masa saya dekat, and then another club, Football Association, whereby resources limited lah. So saya bukan just sebagai physio, tapi you have to do other things as well, jaga pemakanan mereka, order makanan and things like that. So at least in Lion City Sailors, the job is more specific as a physiotherapy. So injury prevention, prevention and treatment as well. Selain daripada tu, masa time walaupun Saturday Sunday, kadang-kadang as Mr. Asif and Mr. Siva knows, kita pun kadang-kadang bekerja. Yeah, so that's how it is every day. So it goes on and on and on. Yeah.
Wah, kalau masa panjang dalam kerja daripada pagi sampai ke malam, ada masa tinggal untuk keluarga tak?
I mean, Alhamdulillah. I mean, yes, there is. So it's a matter of how you find the time, the balance. So kadang-kadang, dalam satu dua jam tu, you just curi waktu to just spend time with the kids, because I've got 3 kids. Just spend time, eat lunch with them, and then go back to work. Yeah, so how it is. I mean, even like macam weekends when you have games, you try to squeeze some 1 or 2 hours quality time with the family. Yeah, and that's how it is as a physiotherapist in football setup. Yeah.
Wah, sungguh sibuk. Wah, mesti perlu banyak dedikasi untuk jadi seorang physio untuk dalam bidang sukan ini. Then untuk Mr. Siva pula. Kalau Mr. Siva, setahu saya, Mr. Siva seorang ahli physio untuk national team, FAM. Tapi Mr. Siva ada apa-apa association dengan apa-apa club ke apa tak?
Okey, memang tugas saya dengan national team saja. So saya tak busy macam Nur Hafizah lah. Very difficult. Club setup is very tough. So dia ada liga yang berjalan sepanjang tahun. Dalam national team, like she said, only FIFA days we gather. Typically for national team, we don't have much time. So kebanyakan masa untuk coaches tu dia lebih kepada tactical saja. So there's no pre-season, there's no time for recovery and all this very limited timing. So in national setup, morning biasanya, if I'm not mistaken, in national setup morning jarang ada training disebabkan kita berkumpul untuk competition sahaja. So bila ada competition, kita punya sesi latihan tu mungkin dikurangkan kepada satu latihan satu hari. So pagi biasanya dia buat limbering sahaja, kebanyakan masa di hotel, and then sebelum dia breakfast, I will sit with my physical trainer. Kita akan buat satu wellness program. So we go through every players, we check with them how's your physical status, mental status, how was your sleep pattern and all that. So pagi itu we will pick up 1 or 2 players who comes with some medical illness, flu, demam, and then muscle soreness yang dia tak pick up the day before. So these people we will put aside, where after breakfast we will gather them, we will go through, do our assessment and prepare them for the training. So by afternoon we have to inform the technical team, especially the coaches, assistant coaches, who is available for training. So it's our duty to inform the coaches so-and-so player will not be able to do the full training. Probably they will stick with our team, medical team. So by afternoon, because the coaches have to do their planning, dia kena buat planning dia untuk training petang tu. So sebelum dia boleh buat planning, kita kena beritahu how many players are available. I think all of you are safe, and Nur Hafizah, I'm sure you all go through the same thing. Training petang biasanya kita ke Padang. So preparation mungkin ambil dalam 45 minit hingga setengah jam di bilik persalinan. Strapping and all these things will happen, massage and all that. During the training, if all the players are available for training, and then I can shake my legs. If 1 or 2 is stuck there with some minor injuries, then we have to do our part. Probably they will categorize as light training, or maybe they just finish up with stretching and then some rehab exercises and all that. Bila balik, and then malam we'll have another session with the players, those who regular, those who have been carrying long-term injuries, we will see them. And that's how a typical day with my national team during the tournaments.
Wah, quite comprehensive ni. Perlu banyak planning untuk bilang coach, untuk organize a team or that.
Exactly.
Okay, kan. Then Mr. Asif pula. So tadi Mr. Asif bilang ada these four program that you kerja dengan Australia lah. So this 4 program that you have, do you try to macam pakai benda-benda machine ni semua dengan pemain national juga untuk tengok diorang ready tak untuk go to the team ke semua?
Ya, jadi mungkin sama dengan semuanya. Jadi gini, bekerja working as a sport physio itu butuh passion. Karena kalau kita tidak punya passion atau kita tidak suka terhadap sport environment, itu kita bakal burn out. Karena every day is very very tight ya the schedule. For example, jika kita mungkin bukan lagi turnamen ya, kita biasanya preparation itu 1 hari mungkin latihan bisa 2 sampai 3 kali kita. Jadi latihan bisa 2 sampai 3 kali baik di padang ya lapangan maupun di gym. Itu kita pasti akan involve juga seperti itu. Kita start bukan hanya dari pagi tapi juga dari malam. Dari malam kita sudah diskusi dengan dokter. Oke dokter, tadi yang injured ada sekian orang. Mereka besok yang bisa ikut latihan 1, 2, 3, yang mungkin yang tidak bisa ikut ya. Jadi kita sudah tahu. Dari situ pagi report itu disampaikan oleh dokter kepada coach. Kita dampingi dokternya. Oke, dari situ mana yang latihan terpisah dengan fisio, mana yang mungkin hanya bisa conditioning ya, atau juga mereka bisa full training. Nah, fisio di sport itu kurang lebih sebenarnya ada 4 kompetensi. Akut intervention, injury rehabilitation, injury prevention, satu lagi improve performance. Nah, tapi kita tidak bisa semuanya kita akan pegang sendiri. Jadi kadang kalau misalkan akut intervention, kita banyak juga dibantu ya oleh teman-teman yang mungkin sport massage, mereka untuk bantu kompres dan lain-lain. Itu kita nggak bisa pegang sendiri semuanya. Setelah itu juga nanti tetap kita akan periksa, kita assess, dokter juga akan assess, jadi fisio bisa kasih apa, dokter kasih apa. Biasanya dokter mungkin ini perlu medicine, ya dia dokter kasih seperti itu. Begitupun saat injury rehabilitation, itu kita start mereka dari lapangan, karena mereka pasti akan saat teman-temannya berlatih, mereka juga harus treatment di lapangan. Mungkin beberapa latihan-latihan ringan di lapangan, dilanjutkan nanti treatment di hotel, misalkan seperti itu. Ya. Dan juga kalau injury prevention, itu kadang kalau kita akhirnya ambil di gym ya, dan itu pun sebenarnya personal. Jadi personal tuh kita bilang bahwa tidak semua harus lakukan bareng-bareng. Tapi biasanya sebelum mulai latihan itu fisio dapat mungkin 10 menit waktu untuk bantu misalkan leading the foam roller session before training, serta kita muscle activation mungkin menggunakan resistant band dan lain-lain. Jadi itu kita bisa bantu seperti itu. Nah, tapi kalau udah performance itu tadi kita harus kolaborasi dengan strength conditioning coach ya. Nah, untuk penggunaan alat-alat sport science tadi, memang kita waktu itu sudah coba untuk di under 16. Nah, tapi mulai tahun ini Federasi Indonesia itu mereka sudah beli semua peralatannya dan mungkin kita akan gunakan setelah kita setelah kita dari FIFA Matchday ini kita mulai ukur beberapa pemain supaya kita punya data. Karena memang nomor 1 penyebab injury adalah injury history ya. Jadi dia punya past injury itu akan bikin dia mudah injury ke depannya. Jadi makanya kenapa kita harus bisa tahu secara objektif bagaimana dia punya kondisi sekarang. Seperti itu. Dan juga sebagai fisio menurut saya di olahraga itu benar-benar kita mungkin akan akan banyak harus bisa untuk komunikasi. Bagaimana kita komunikasi dengan pelatih atau dengan coaching staff supaya mereka juga tahu bahwa misalkan kadang juga akhirnya pemain ini sebenarnya mungkin dia bisa, tapi ada misalkan aspek seperti psikis ya, ada yang pemain yang mereka takut, mereka trauma ya untuk kembali ke lapangan segera. Tapi ada orang pemain yang karakternya sangat bagus sekali. Mereka mungkin cedera-cedera sedikit, mereka bilang saya nggak apa-apa, saya mau tetap bermain, saya bisa latihan. Nah itu jadi kadang kalau orang yang sudah punya motivasi yang tinggi seperti itu, kita sebagai fisio kontrol, kita lihat secara fungsional dan lain-lain, misalkan dia memang safety, mungkin kita bisa buat dia sedikit lebih accelerate, lebih cepat. Tapi kalau misalkan orang itu mungkin masih kayak takut, nah itu tugas kita memang sebagai fisio harus juga tahu mengenai psikisnya para pemain, mentalitinya seperti apa. Jadi kita pun harus pelan-pelan, karena kadang banyak mungkin pemain yang usianya itu di bawah kita, jadi kita harus seperti like brother. Oke, kamu gimana, ini bisa, oh enggak apa-apa, ini coba kamu lihat. Jadi kita kasih dia step by step. Yesterday kamu tidak bisa lakukan ini, squat, sekarang kamu sudah bisa squat, itu bagus, kamu harus pelan-pelan naikin lagi, sambil kita terus motivasi, seperti itu. Jadi Physio itu harus bisa bertindak dari menjadi banyak hal. Psikolog, kita juga mungkin juga tadi ya, kita juga reminder tentang nutritionnya, kita juga mungkin reminder tentang bagaimana mereka lakukan weight training buat injury prevention, dan juga ya memang ya kita harus seperti brother buat mereka, seperti itu.
Ya, terima kasih. So nampaknya macam untuk menjadi physio dalam bidang sukan bola sepak harus menjadi point of contact, jadi seorang yang menyeluruh atau holistik untuk cover setiap aspek lah dalam perkembangan seorang pemain itu. Okay, so sekarang kita akan move on untuk next satu topik tentang challenges atau hadangan atau cabaran yang setiap antara kamu hadapi dalam seharian. Mungkin untuk Kak Fiza, sebagai seorang wanita dalam sukan bola sepak yang penuh lelaki kan. So, adakah stigma atau cabaran yang Kak Fiza hadapi lah?
Yes, I think tetap ada, because I deal with, all of them are lelaki lah. Okay, but Alhamdulillah before this, there was another female physio sebelum saya, so seorang wanita fisioterapi sebelum saya. So at least, yang some of them are able to accept me. But slowly, I think at the end of the day, it's not, bagi saya rasa it's not whether I'm female or I'm male. It's how I deal with them confidently, and I think it's how I gain their trust, especially the players, the senior players. I think itu yang penting, especially if you want to work with professionals lah. So in a way, working in the national men's team, stigma tu tak ada. Maybe di luar, orang yang memperhatikan, female physio in a men's team. So mereka ada perkatakan, why is it like that? But at the end of the day, bagi saya, jika saya lakukan tugas dengan amanah, making sure that my duty is to ensure that the players return back to play, to train safely. I think that's my job. And yeah, saya lakukan dengan amanah and all that. I think it shouldn't be any problem. Yeah.
Okay. Kan. Terima kasih. So pasti sukarlah untuk menjalani physio untuk sebagai physio untuk ahli sukan penuh dengan lelaki, tapi syabas untuk Kak Fiza dapat menerusi segala halangan untuk sampai di mana dia sekarang. Ya. Okay, so Mr. Siva dengan Mr. Asif. So saya arahkan soalan ini untuk kamu berdua tentang perkembangan bola sepak di Malaysia dan Indonesia. Ada apa-apa halangan atau cabaran untuk mengembangkan lagi like the football scene, the physio aspect.
Seperti I like to congratulate Nur Hafiza. Dia telah buat trend setting di Singapore. I really like to see more females involving in men's game. Respect to you. So, she is a classical example for Malaysians, I'm sure ramai yang tengok TV kan, dia tengok ada perempuan lari masuk untuk buat rawatan. So, I hope this trend setting is very good. I'm sure a lot of physios in Singapore learn from this. I mean, it can be done, bukan susah. So I hope Malaysia also learn something like that. Shouldn't be gender bias. Bila doktor boleh buat rawatan untuk lelaki, doktor perempuan boleh buat rawatan untuk lelaki, what's wrong? Physio does the same thing. So respect to Nur Hafiza. I think your colleague, I think before that I forgot her name.
Wikun.
Wikun, yeah, okay, Wikun.
I remember her as well.
Itu cabaran yang besar untuk mereka untuk melibatkan diri. I think once we had Chelsea, remember?
Eva Canero.
Yeah. Famous. So that is one cabaran. I think she has gone through respect again from my feelings. And then like what Norris has mentioned, what is the challenges here? We are like still has been quite many years, my journey is already 22 years with the national team, 24 years. Initially, like what we said, we had limited resources. Di dalam pasukan kita ada 4 ke 5 orang je pegawai. Tapi sekarang pegawai dah triple already. Media officer, security officer, and then some teams have privilege to have 2 physios, doctors too, nutritionists to follow the team. Always come with budget, these are the things when you want to excel in something, you have to invest. That means the team has to invest. We should have more people. It is nice if we can have a physiologist or nutritionist to follow with the team. At least take, pada dulu physio akan jadi doktor, akan jadi semualah. Dari doktor, dari physiologist, daripada nutritionist, semua kita kena jaga. Apa-apa dengan medical je, dia mesti refer balik kepada. Bukan saja jaga pemain, kena jaga pegawai sekali bila di luar negara. And then kalau player injured, kena buat rawatan lanjutan. That means you have to go to hospital. We are the people who have to follow because we are the only people who knows about medical. So my wish is challenges. What is we should improve on this. That means have more disciplined people comes in. That means more discipline, like physiologists, biomechanics. All these people will somehow help. Even a 2% improvement in the team will reflect back in the final results. So always when we bring this matter up with the management, budget is an issue. But then if you want to excel, so that's the only way we can excel. So we, as a physio, we can give a better care. We can do what we can do, If not, our time is limited. Kita punya masa tu sangat suntuk dengan pemain. So this is my challenges. And then other thing I can see is what we read in the book. For example, concussion or any sudden cardiac arrest or what. Reading in the book and the real situation is two different things. So how we want to improve this is by training. That's the only way. We have to have repeated training. Of course, I don't want to experience something like that, Of course, concussion quite normal, when you are competent, that means betul-betul confident you can handle the case, because TV is watching you all the time. People are picking up all these small mistakes, when we do treatment on the field. So netizens will never keep quiet, they will hantam to the max. So these are the challenges we go through as a physio. Thank you.
Terima kasih. Okay, dan Mr. Hasif pula, cabaran yang dialami sama macam Mr. Siva atau ada lebih lanjut lagi untuk Indonesia?
Okay, alhamdulillah di Indonesia government sama federation is very support us for example, mereka beli semua equipment yang kita perlu. Misalkan, oke, apa the best teknologi untuk sekarang, misalkan membantu rehab, kita bikin proposal, and mereka bantu dari government, support government, and mereka kasih semua dalam bentuk bantuan. Jadi ini suatu hal yang sangat bagus ya. Jadi kita bekerja menjadi lebih baik. Mereka juga support banyak hal seperti misalkan kalau kita mau mungkin nanti mengikuti course pelatihan, mereka akan support ya, everything support seperti dari accommodation ya, terus juga untuk apa namanya joinnya seperti itu juga kita semua disupport. Dan memang menurut saya ini menjadi salah satu hal yang menjadi kita lebih semangat ya, dan juga menjadi kita lebih concentration, lebih fokus untuk meningkatkan performance daripada pemain. Nah, tadi berkaitan dengan memang fisioterapis wanita, ini menjadi menarik karena dulu saya beberapa kali memasukkan fisioterapis wanita itu ke tim pria. Jadi ada salah satu fisioterapis kerja di klinik saya, habis itu saya masuk ke tim sepak bola pria. Dan itu menjadi the first in Indonesia, dan setelah 3 tahun, dia akhirnya pernah sekali berkarir di Malaysia. Jadi pernah berkarir di Malaysia di Terengganu, kalau nggak salah, Terengganu FC. Jadi ada fisioterapis dari Indonesia, wanita, dia memegang tim pria seperti itu. Jadi menurut saya sih sangat bagus. Bahkan Visa ini boleh dibilang itu menjadi inspirasi. Kemarin waktu AFF Suzuki Cup banyak sekali teman-teman fisio saya atau adik-adik kelas ya, adik-adik junior yang mereka tanya, Mas Asep kenal tidak dengan fisioterapisnya Singapura? Oh, saya bilang saya kenal. Apa Instagramnya? Nggak punya Instagram. Karena di Indonesia social media is very popular, Instagram ya. So in Instagram you can share anything, okay? And good for the personal branding, right? Ya, jadi memang itu bikin semangat. Mereka dulu pikir wanita tidak bisa kerja di tim pria, tapi begitu melihat mungkin sekarang Kak Fiza di dalam lapangan memegang pemain bola wanita, pria, semua jadi semangat. Dan mereka bilang, Mas Asep bisa nggak di Indonesia seperti itu? Saya bilang udah pernah bisa, dan menurut saya sekarang mulai banyak. Saya pun berkali-kali memasukkan Physio ke nasional tim futsal, itu juga wanita. Menurut saya gender is not problem ya. It's about your competency, about your knowledge ya, and also your attitude there. If you good di semuanya bagus, pasti pelatih akan tetap menggunakan jasa kita seperti itu. Dan yang pastinya challenge-nya menurut saya sekarang adalah bagaimana kita harus juga berkomunikasi dengan medical team dari klub ya. Jadi kan banyak pemain kita itu bermain di Europe, ada yang mungkin di Korea. Jadi kalau mereka misalkan ada injured, mereka ya harus ada report juga ke kita, karena kita sebagai national team itu perlu tahu recordnya, historinya, supaya nanti kita bisa buat sesuatu buat mereka. Pada saat mereka dipanggil, kita tahu kondisinya misalkan lagi cedera atau tidak. Misalkan juga kemarin sempat ada yang ternyata concussion satu protokol misalkan di Inggris, itu butuh waktu sampai 2 minggu dia rest. Ya itu kan suatu hal yang kita juga mungkin belajar ya, karena memang banyak mungkin di kita masih tidak terlalu nggak harus 2 minggu restnya, mungkin cuma 3 hari tidak ada masalah, oke, bisa come back to training. Tapi ternyata di luar sana mereka strict terhadap protokol, misalkan seperti itu. Itu menjadi suatu pelajaran. Dan juga tadi komunikasi dengan medical team di Indonesian League, karena kita harus bisa saat misalkan pemain datang kondisi bagus, tapi begitu mereka kembali ke klub kondisi injured, nah kita bisa harus kasih tahu ke mereka bahwa misalkan kemarin injured, sudah kita tangani seperti ini, programnya seperti ini, silahkan dilanjutkan. Jadi kita pun ada trust. Kita harus trust juga kepada semua. Nah, intinya apa? Poinnya adalah kita harus semua sama-sama improve kompetensi, baik yang di national team maupun yang di klub, supaya the player adalah aset ya, player adalah aset, itu menjadi lebih kita bisa jaga dan kita bisa rawat seperti itu.
Wah, sungguh banyak betul informasi yang harus di absorb lah kalau seorang junior mau jadi dalam bidang sukan ini. Ya. So mungkin Sarah sekarang akan untuk tinjau lebih lanjut tentang Suzuki Cup dan tentang some of the clinical protocols also lah. Yeah.
Alright, so saya tertarik tadi dengan apa yang Mr. Siva cakap tadi mengenai perbezaan challenges lah, kiranya dulu dan juga sekarang. Kalau dulu mungkin beberapa tahun dulu mungkin disebabkan oleh limited resources, so seorang physio tu basically must play a lot of roles, bukan saja buat kerja physio tapi kena buat banyak lagi tugasan yang lain dengan tim tu. Okay, so sekarang ni kita dapat tengok dengan lebihnya budget dan juga involvement of other sport science experts lah. Contohnya kita as a physio ni, kita right now we are working in a multidisciplinary team. Alright, so kita bukan kerja seorang dengan doktor, kita juga ada expert daripada sport science atau bidang yang lain lah. Maybe some teams they have the luxury, I would say, to hire, a sports physiologist or somebody like a SNC, strength and conditioning trainer, ataupun somebody from the biomech and everything. So untuk Kak Fiza, working alongside the sport science punya experts ni, how do you use or how does that affect your job or your approach as a physiotherapist? Contohnya macam when you work with SNC or strength conditioning punya trainer, maybe as a physio you could do something like create like a injury prevention program or whatnot. So do you take some input from them and then implement that into your duty as a physio?
Yes, of course. Okay, so seperti Mr. Siva, because of limited budget when I first started in association, Football Association of Singapore, budget is very limited, and like what he said, we probably, because we are the only medical personnel, so we handle a lot of things, even to the extent of injury prevention, strength conditioning. But alhamdulillah, as the years progress, we have specialists coming in, like sports scientists, strength conditioning coaches. So for me, as the years go by, their expertise are very much appreciated. So saya gunakan expertise mereka, it enhance our practice, daily practice. So for example, macam sports scientists, they check the wellness of the players daily. So macam mereka tanya, okay, in terms of soreness, fatigue, whether they sleep well and things like that. So that feedback, they will tell us, okay, Fiza, these are people who have soreness, 5. Then that's my duty to check, okay, what's wrong? Why is it that you're having soreness? Is it because you're having tightness of your hamstring, or is it because you're just tired? And that's when I feed back to the coaches and we do the analysis. So for example, on the pitch, certain workload yang kita perlu target. Say for example, today is high workload, and the moment macam mereka cakap, it's already hitting that high workload and we need to watch this particular player, that's when I will go in and say that, hey, to the coach, yesterday dah lebih, so mungkin takut mereka akan ada injury, kalau kita lebih daripada yang sepatutnya. So I think communication is key when we work with the different specialists, fitness coaches, strength conditioning. So for macam, so seperti kita buat treatment for injured players, then after that bila kita nak pulangkan mereka ke on field sebelum mereka pulang ke training, that's when we use the rehab specialist. So the rehab specialists are the integration, or rather is the bridge, before they return to play. So we actually, advise them what are the things to do in phase 3 or phase 4 of rehab. What are the goals? For example, they need to be able to kick and, especially those macam pulang daripada ACL injury. So from there, the inputs together with the strength conditioning, we come up with a program. Yeah, and then see what's best for the player for them to achieve their functional return to play. Yeah, so for me, that's how I work daily with the different personnel in the team. Yeah.
Alright, thank you, Kak Fiza. Yes, definitely. Sebab the input from the sports science experts are very important lah. And I think as a physio, we shouldn't work in silos. We must always, integrate whatever they do and their data that they collect as well into our practice. So for Mr. Siva pula, sebab because as I know that FAM does not have like a full-time sports science punya experts. So how do you overcome that?
Okay, we do get the help from Institute Sukan Negara, where they have a full system going on there. So whenever we need, we collaborate with them. We'll bring them in to help us out with the team. So the collaboration is ongoing, never stop, and we have plans to work with universities where the universities could provide us this kind of support, because this support team, there's a primary and secondary support team. The secondary support team, I'm talking about nutritionists and then psychologists and all that. We might not need them all the time. So, so these are the people we are trying to tap them in future. We're still in the discussion stage where they will. We have every time the team comes in, they come in, set things up for us. Then we will take on from there. Like what Nora Hafiza said, we have to work with all these people to improve the players' physical, mental status, and all this. It's no more like those days. I can. Some coaches say I can do everything. And we have to have a coach who can understand the sport science and appreciate the members who are working with the team. It is very, very important. And our collaboration, our working environment has to be very, very good, especially with the trainers. We work very closely. There are times where we have to work together for the return of play for the players. I share the same views like Hafiza. There's no way that you can do things on your own. Time for us to work with all these people.
All right, thank you, Mr. Siva. Yes, betul. I think that's one of the challenges also lah, like how you want to convince, especially the coaches, about the importance of using sport science into our, into our sports, because some of them, they still have this traditional way of thinking, and then we are more data driven and whatnot. So I think as a physio, I think we must also in a way educate as well, not just the players but also the the coaches and also the technical staff,
the team.
Yes, the team, exactly. So untuk Mr. Asif, di timnas Indonesia macam mana pula keadaannya?
Ya, jadi kita punya strength conditioning coach itu dari Korea. Yes, because our head coach is from Korea, so he brings some of the stuff from Korea. He also graduated from the England, from the England sports science. So it's easy for us to discuss. Because sometimes the problem is about the language, So we need to talk with the translator talk with the coach talk translator, and talk to us, because his Korean language is very difficult. Okay, for us it's good insight from the coach. Is about the first is like how to recondition the player if the player is come from the traveling, So I with the coach is together in the gym, and the coach is give us the knowledge about how to make the player is recovery from the traveling, and also the end phase of injury rehabilitation he also doing, and we can discuss, and okay, if the pain is reduced, the movement is good, so I can give the injury player to the coach, and coach will be give some drill to make sure the player can return to sport. But now I think not only return to sport, we must be return to competition. Sometimes just return to sport is not mean the player is ready to competition. So because I think as a physio, we need now about the drill, we need now about how to measure, we need now about the how to improve. But all of them is we can collaborate with the strength conditioning coach. So in Indonesia national team, I think the problem is only communication when we talk with the head coach, yeah, because sometimes head coach from Korea is very detailed about everything, and he want to know about everything. So we need to talk our planning, we need to talk our execution, yeah, and also he will evaluate like that. And sometimes it's good our coach is sangat peduli ya, dia peduli sekali dengan kondisi kesehatan dan kebugaran dari pemain. Jadi dia benar-benar ingin pemain semua sehat dan bugar, tapi juga pemain tidak jelek secara mental. Jadi dia tidak pernah bikin pemain misalkan dia cedera, aduh kamu kasihan sekali, kamu tidak bisa bermain, tidak. Dia bilang oke, kamu harus kerja keras, kamu harus bisa comeback stronger seperti itu.
So you must always think or prepare 2 steps ahead lah. Bila nak communicate dengan coach sebab dia terlalu detail kan. Right. So Mr. Asif, ketika di AFF Suzuki Cup tournament baru-baru ni, so of course final Indonesia melawan Thailand kan.
Yeah.
So saya nak tahu your experience cover that game, knowing that when you cover a final match, the pressure is high and you know that the game is very intense with big crowds and everything, and everybody is so stressed. So as a physio sitting on that bench during a very important match too, do you also feel the pressure, or does it feel like any other game?
Yeah, we feel the pressure. Yeah, same pressure with the players, because when we go to the final, some of the players also injury. Yeah, so we play with the Singapore. Yeah, we met the Pizza, and the game is very crass. It's everything is it's very hard. Yeah, many my player also get the injury, but yeah, because I tell to all the players, okay, this is the chance for you get to the final. So you after the preparation 2 months, you far from your family. This is the time. Okay, I will play. Okay, and also we evaluate where is the can play, where is not play. Yeah. So still like that. But the pressure is not only from the crowd. Yeah. Also the pressure sometimes is from the Indonesia. It's like supporter, yeah. From the sometimes if we just listen the social media, is will make us is very it's like confused, because sometimes he want us to win, sometimes he not know about our condition. So we need strict in the center, and yeah, for the supporter we still give the good optimism for all of the supporter, but for all the player also we need to make our player is not nervous, because when you watching the first game, you see our dominant player is under 23 the age, yeah. So it's like maybe also the nervous and also fear of the move, and he see the Thailand is very good, I think like that. But you can see in the second leg is better play, because I tell also for the player, okay, you must be win or you must be play good like that. It's only to choose win or play good. So the people in Indonesia will be respect for all of your effort.
Yes. All right, Mr. Asif. Yes, that's true actually. Because whatever that you display on the field, the fans can see, and we are always being put under the microscope. All right, whatever every step that we do lah. All right. So for Kak Fiza pula, because of this tournament with COVID and everything, how has that impacted the whole team in terms of your preparation as a physio and everything?
I think COVID, it's a very challenging period for all of us. I think all countries.
Yes.
It's about di Singapore, unfortunately, this is the first time Suzuki whereby kita tak boleh keluar, and everything is all in the hotel. Kita tak dapat cahaya matahari, that kind of thing. So it does affect the mental of the players, mental of the players, even the officials, the staff, myself as well, So kita pergi ke training ground, pulang kembali di dalam bilik, and then go to the. So there's a lot of challenges, and what more with one or two being hit by COVID, some of our key players for me in Singapore, kita ada 2 or 3 players hit by COVID sebelum Suzuki Cup. So it's very challenging because the effect of COVID, it gives it's very pressure, especially I think for teams like even Malaysia or Indonesia, whereby we don't even know game day, whether the khidmat of certain players, are they available, it does affect the planning of the coaches. So whatever that affect the coaches, somehow or other, because it's medical, it affect us, the physiotherapists. Yeah, because psychologically, mentally, even physically, it affect the players also lah. So it's a challenge, but unfortunately it's something that kita harus hadapi. COVID is going to be with us for the next few years. It's going to affect our daily lifestyle. So I think from now onwards is how kita plan our SOP daily, in terms of, okay, if let's say this player down with COVID, what are the steps that we need to take? Should we have more players available, or players, should they be together in one room, things like that. So it affect how we treat our players. Macam dulu, 5-6 players boleh di dalam satu medical room. So sekarang, kita harus ikut in terms of safe distancing, okay, maybe only like 2 players, per room, and then kita cuba, 2 masseuse in one room, that kind of thing. So a lot of time, a lot of effort kita harus lakukan sewaktu di Suzuki Cup. Yeah, but at the end of the day, kita harus hadapi dengan, positif. Yeah.
Yes, betul tu. So I believe each team memang menghadapi situasi yang sama lah. It's just that the way we overcome tu, we have our own ways of overcoming the situation and how to deal with COVID now. Alright, so untuk Mr. Siva pula di team Malaysia, okay, bila ada beberapa macam players yang infected by COVID apa semua, in terms of dia punya recovery tu, contohnya like post COVID, how is their recovery?
Okay, in this uncertain time, of course, in our own camp on arrival, we had 2 cases positive during the PCR test. Immediately, we had to isolate them. And then as days go on the 3rd day, we had another one. And then on the 5th day, I think we had the last one, 4 cases during that period. Before traveling, we already have to do our homework, such as, what are the quarantine period in that country we are going to. Every country have their own regulation.
Yes.
And the regulation has been keep changing. Even in Malaysia also, sometimes I read up in, so from 7 days, it become 5 days quarantine and such things. When we were there, we were hit, and then MOH Singapore, it's very clear, they said 10 days quarantine. During the 10 days quarantine period, that is one thing where we had to do a lot of, we need these players once they are out of quarantine. And then decision making, are they ready for game? The tournament is very short period. We arrived on 3rd, we had 2 cases, and they will be out on the 13th after 10 days. So during that 10 days, how are we going to keep them active? So I should thank my physical trainer. He was doing a Zoom session with them, personal training inside the room. Good thing is they did not go into serious symptoms where they only had, Cat 1, Cat 2, Category 1, Category 2. The most was 1 or 2 days fever, and then they were back normal. They were not, very bad. They were not very bad, So because of that, when they were released after the 10th day out of quarantine, we started off with, gym work, slowly push them. In 2 days, 3 days time, we need them very badly because we were already depleted with less players and with injuries. And they were back with the team after the 16th day. So we were actually 10 days quarantine. After 6 days, a good thing is we had a long rest in between the third and fourth game. So we managed to bring back all those COVID positive back ready for the last game, minus the injuries. It all depends on how severity they were hit with the COVID. Other than that, stressful, of course, not easy. I think the most stressful AFF was the last one for me. Tak nangis sajalah.
Jangan nangis.
Every day we have to go through this swab, self swab. So me and my doctor, lucky, we had a nice doctor. Dr. Zaidi was with me. So every day morning we will call all the players to do the swab. That is the regulation set by. Once you find someone positive, those who are in group, we are considered like close contact. We had to go through 7 days of swabbing daily, and then we have to send in the report to the MOH. So it was not easy. We thought after the 7th day we are finished, but then we picked up another case. So the last case, from the day the last case was found in our team, another 7 days was extended to us. So it was not easy. Kena cucuk dengan hidung hari-hari. So ada yang maki kita ni. So it is a different scenario now. So like what the others said, we have to learn, we have to go through this. No more saying, oh, COVID is an excuse. So we have to learn to live with it and be ready. If there's someone COVID, then we just have to replace them. Okay.
So I think with COVID, everyone has to be on their toes and just have to be like expect the unexpected lah.
Yeah, the SOP is very, very important. We realize after we have cases, the players started drinking, sharing bottles, despite we tell them, hey, cannot, But when we had cases in our, then the players themselves said, I'm not going to touch another player's bottle, So until you get it, you will think COVID is not going to come after you. Don't be very sure. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Siva. All right. So we're gonna go to the last part. So Norris will be asking questions which are non-football related. All right. So because we are approaching towards the end of our podcast. All right. So Norris.
Okay, terima kasih Sarah. Okay, so selain daripada kerja sebagai football physio atau physio yang pakar dalam bidang sukan bola sepak, kalau ada masa yang luang, ada masa yang free, ada apa-apa minat atau kegemaran yang mungkin Kak Fiza boleh kongsi dulu.
For me kan, sebab it's stressful, pekerjaan yang stressful kan, so the only when I have masa, so I'll go for my runs. So I run, by the Sentosa and things like that. And I love to read because I think when I read, it's all by myself, no one to disturb, so I can immerse myself in the book. Yeah, so that's what I do, running and reading. Yeah.
So selalunya kalau lari berapa jauh larinya?
Tak jauh lah. 5 click maybe, about 3 miles.
Lari dari kenyataan ya.
Lari dari kenyataan, betul tu.
Okay. Mr. Siva pula.
Okay, I recently got into hiking and little bit of gardening, bukan sebab saya minat sangat, sebab dipaksa oleh my other half lah. Dia cakap, duduk rumah pun tengok TV saja kan. So I get into hiking where I can spend time with my family. My children are into it also. They like to do that. So normally we do a family hiking at least once a month minimum. And the other thing is gardening on and off lah. So this is my pastime. Other than that, playing football with my neighborhood friends lah. Kalau tak ada masa untuk tu.
Sebab di Malaysia banyak juga gunung yang boleh didaki ya.
Banyak. Tak habis.
Okay, then Mr. Hasim, tahu tadi social media ada banyak following kan? Adakah itu salah satu 4,000? adakah itu salah satu kegemaran Mr. Asif untuk apa tu post tentang post social media atau sebagainya?
Oke. Kemarin pulang dari AFF Suzuki Cup, ya memang kan kita ini ya mesti karantina ya. Jadi kita karantina di hotel. Nah, saat karantina itulah waktu buat istirahat. Jadi kita habiskan dengan mungkin tidur, atau nanti kalau lagi santai kita sedikit nonton-nonton Netflix ya. Kita juga perlu hiburan, oke? Kita nonton movies. Habis itu mungkin ini sih paling ya begitu pulang sampai ke rumah kita juga family time ya dengan anak, dengan istri, mungkin kita ajak berenang dan lain-lain. Itu sih paling ya. Karena memang setelah itu mungkin kita ya rest itu mungkin 3 sampai 4 hari. Setelah itu udah kembali kan saya punya responsibility juga. Kita punya beberapa klinik-klinik yang kita harus kontrol. Kita juga harus kasih training. Kita harus mungkin meeting buat business development dan lain-lain. Jadi ya kalau tidak jadi sport physio, ya kita satu sisi kalau saya harus jadi entrepreneur seperti itu buat the best future.
Very good, very good.
Yeah.
Sebab yang penting in order for us to take care of other people, we have to take care of ourselves first. Always make sure that
mental health.
We have to always make sure that we are in our best condition physically and also mentally. Lepas tu barulah boleh kita nak look after other people. Alright. So what's the future plan like? Okay, kita untuk Encik Asif dulu lah. Future plan selepas ni, okay lah, dari maybe dalam 5 hingga 10 tahun akan datang.
Okay.
Memandangkan banyak betul you have a lot of things on your plate kan. You have your clinics and everything. So future tu macam mana masa depan tu?
Okay, jadi buat masa depan pasti ya kalau kita bilang klinik itu kita kan sekarang yang susah kita buat sistem. Jadi kalau sistemnya sudah bagus, kita sudah banyak resource yang gabung sama kita, ya, nanti mereka sudah bisa jalankan itu semua klinik kita. Jadi target saya dalam 10 tahun ke depan, kalau bisa mungkin saya sudah punya 30-50 klinik. It's my dream. Wow. Itu satu. Terus juga saya memang sudah mulai untuk bagaimana bikin suatu simposium ataupun certification. Jadi kita pengen bikin certification buat semua fisio-fisio di Indonesia sehingga mereka ya bisa belajar mungkin dari kita punya experience dan apa yang mungkin sudah kita dapat knowledge selama kita bekerja 14 tahun ini gitu. Jadi di situ kita mau berbagi kepada mereka dan juga selain cuma berbagi, kita juga bisa bantu mereka untuk bagaimana mereka nanti bisa masuk ke misalkan ke tim, ke klub olahraga atau mungkin kesukaan yang lainnya, itu kita bisa bantu seperti itu. Jadi harapan saya seperti itu dan memang saya sedang develop suatu website namanya bebascedera.id. Itu nanti di situ ada semua artikel tentang injury, terus juga nantinya kita di situ ada buat semua orang Indonesia kan banyak ya, ada 270 juta orang yang mereka mungkin perlu bagaimana melakukan telekonsultasi. Mereka juga nanti bisa tahu bagaimana untuk misalkan penanganan cedera dasar seperti itu. Kita akan put di situ semua di dalam website tersebut. Dan yang pasti saya juga lagi memang sebenarnya gini, sebelum pandemi saya punya banyak klien dari Indonesia yang mereka berobat ke Singapura. Nah itu mungkin nanti setelah ini pandemi sudah agak lebih baik, itu kita akan coba kita coba urus lagi karena memang itu merupakan salah satu yang banyak ya, orang Indonesia banyak sekali berobat atau operasi di Singapura, tapi mereka begitu kembali ke Indonesia, nah mereka bingung buat rehabnya. Jadi itu merupakan salah satu market kita seperti itu.
Bagus. Saya tengok. Saya sebenarnya ada juga stok IG Encik Asif ni 64,000 followers Lepas tu dia ada blue tick. Okay, first time saya tengok Physio yang ada blue tick verification tu. So that means your social media presence is very very significant and it's very big. So well done, and then keep sharing knowledge, keep spreading the right knowledge lah to the public and also to other physios out there. So untuk Mr. Siva pula, what's your future plan?
Okay. My future plan very easy. I like to travel a lot. All these years I've been very unfair to my family. I've been traveling with my job, but believe me, the team dictates my time when we are traveling.
True.
the pasukan itu yang menentukan masa kita travel. So I always like to travel with my family. I like to bring my wife. She have never been to Europe, and so we had plans, but COVID-19 has put a stop to the plans. But I would like to do that. Stay away from Malaysia for some time.
Yes, that's very good family time kan. Sometimes we've lost a lot of quality time with our family, traveling and everything. So yes, it's good
Exactly.
to catch up with them lah for all those lost times.
Not much time left, huh? Okay.
Okay, Kak Fiza pula macam mana? What's your future plan?
My future plans, okay, maybe 5-10 years.
Hmm.
Probably to retire from being an active physio, but maybe to go into the lecturing area and probably train new physios, inshallah, in the area of sports. Yeah, but also I'm looking at, I've got this dream, lepas retire, to go to, countries like, the macam the what do you call that? The what do you call that? The countries that are the third world countries, and then really, go and help them out in terms of medical. And that's my dream, inshallah, hopefully. Yeah.
Like a humanitarian.
Yeah, that's right. That's the word. Yeah, that's what I want to do one day, inshallah. Yeah.
That's interesting. All right. So last but not least, Kak Fiza, for those aspiring sports physios out there, or students, what is the one piece of advice that you would like to share with them?
Sometimes bila mereka lihat kita di television, they think it's all about fame and glory. But it's not. It's a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, a lot of passion. So, you need all these ingredients to be a good physio. So, with your knowledge, with whatever that I have said earlier, inshallah, if you have the passion, the discipline, you can be a good physio. But it's all not fame, and you need to put in that hard work, the effort to be a good physio one day, inshallah. Yeah.
Alright. For Mr. Siva pula, yang paling banyak pengalaman kat sini.
One simple advice will be for any physios who are interested in sports. My advice is try to get yourself attached to any hospitals in clinical side. Work for a few years before you branch out to be a physio. You will be definitely a different person. You will have competent, you will have confidence, you will have all the soft skills. So that you can transmit, and you will become a better sports physio. That's the only advice I will share here today. Thank you.
That's a very good one actually. Okay, Encik Asif pula. Apakah nasihat yang nak diberi untuk physio di luar sana?
Okay, jadi kalau prinsip saya adalah tidak penting kita untuk menjadi yang terbaik, tapi kita harus bisa menjadi yang paling bermanfaat. Jadi kita bisa banyak kasih manfaat buat orang dengan apa yang sudah kita lakukan, apa yang mungkin sudah kita punya pengalaman. Jadi kalau saya berpikir, saya tidak akan memberikan motivasi. Saya tidak kasih motivasi buat semua physio, tapi saya berharap semua terinspirasi. Seperti itu.
Wow.
I'm inspired.
Kata-kata mutiara. Okay, Norris.
Okay, Ken. So saya akan simpulannya banyak betul informasi yang dikongsi hari ini. Jadi kalau physio junior yang ada di sana mendengar ni semua, mungkin boleh, kalau di Indonesia atau Singapura atau Malaysia, boleh cuba kontak, hubungi mereka kalau ada apa-apa soalan, ada apa-apa yang mau tahu lebih tentang untuk menjadi seorang physio dalam bidang sukan bola sepak ini. Tapi simpulannya, komunikasi mula dengan pergi ke klinik dulu daripada pergi hospital sebelum mencuburi bidang bola sepak. Okay, so kita akhiri dengan satu quote. Mungkin tuan baru cuba, jangan putus asa dan terus mencuba. Ya.
Anda telah mendengar podcast Physio Chats. sebuah podcast dari Persatuan Fisioterapi Singapura. You have been listening to Physio Chats, a podcast series brought to you by the Singapore Physiotherapy Association. Follow us on Spotify and our social media platforms for future content. See you!